The second graph we're making is a bar graph. As you remember about bar graphs, they are comparing categories of data. And when we're comparing categories, we usually have to do some math. We're going to be taking averages or totals of data to compare groups. We're going to aggregate data. For this graph, we're going to get the average. So on average, what are the test scores for each group? So how are we going to do that? We got to do some math. Are you going to type that all in your calculator? Good Lord, no, I hope not. This is what spreadsheets are for. They do the math for you. So let's unlock the power of the spreadsheet. First off, if we want to compare gender identities, we want to sort the data, because I'm not going to poke around here and pick every time male and try to get that number somewhere. No. To sort the data, we're going to highlight the data. So I'm going to highlight this, and I'm going to hold down the Shift key and highlight the next column and the next column and the next column. We want to sort this according to gender. So we go to Data, and we want to sort this range. And we're going to use the advanced sorting options here. Oh yeah, our data has a header row, so click that. We don't want to sort by age, we want to sort by gender. All right, and we click Sort. And bam, it did it alphabetically. So everybody who identified as female, because F comes as the first letter here first, and if we keep scrolling down, remember there are 1,000 people who did this, right? Then we get female, damn it. I've got to fix that. So as we sort through the 1,000 participants, you'll notice all the people identified as female listed first, then male going alphabetically, and then at the bottom, people who declined to answer, or NA, here, and people who identified as non-binary or genderqueer, alphabetically down at the bottom. Now then, 2 is not a robust sample size. So the sample size of folks who identify as non-binary or genderqueer, it's not a large enough sample size for them to be included in this analysis. People who didn't say what their gender is can't be included because we don't know. If our independent variable is gender identity and we don't know theirs, then that data also isn't going to be included in our analysis. What are we going to do? We got to get the average, right? And then we've got to make a graph of those averages. So typically, we just create a new little chart here. So I'm going to say gender identity, and then we're going to say female, male, all right. And then I'm going to say average score. You can go over here and click on this button that says functions, and click on it and be like all kinds of things. The most common are here: sum, average, count, maximum, minimum, but there's an insane amount of calculations it will do for you. So if we do that, we say we want the average. Click on average, and then it's going to be like average of what? What do you want the average of? And that's when you highlight. So we're going to start with click here, and I'm going to hold Shift and push the down. All the people who identified as such. We have highlighted them, and then we hit return. And it will give us, okay, it's going to give us a number, 29.694161. It may give you a suggested answer here. We're not going to believe it. Once you learn the code, you also might just be like equals AV, and you start typing it in. It's like, oh, you're doing some math. Can I help you? It's like, yes, I want to do an average. Click on the average. And then we scroll down to find what we want the averages of and highlight those. So fun. There we go. Hit return. Bam. Okay. What do we got? Okay, we've got our numbers. Now then, I don't need 500 numbers after the decimal point. That's pretty much irrelevant at this point. We don't need that level of detail. So I'm going to highlight those, and we're going to go to Format. Going to go to Number. We're going to choose this one. Gives us 2, which is what the test specificity had anyway. There we go. Now, we're going to highlight those, and we're going to insert a chart. Oh, so nice. Now, the tasks that remain. We need to fix the title. We can just type right here. Or, as you recall, perhaps if you watched the last video, we can use this to go to chart title, and type over here. Either way's fine. Okay. And I want to have a chart subtitle. N is your sample size. Now then, and we need to fix our x-axis to be quite clear. So gender identity to clarify who was included in this and what data was not included. Now then, the last thing we need, if you'll notice, in order to clarify exactly what the numbers were, is put them in the bar. That can be a nice touch depending on what kind of graph you're making. So under series, we can put data labels. Right, so we added those numbers, but they're kind of small. Let's make them bigger. We see the font size, let's make them 20. Yeah, cool. All right, now we have our awesome graph. Yay, bar graph. On to scatter plot.